About 10 or 11 days ago, I did a Gran Turismo 7 video showing how on PSVR2 on the PS5 Pro it's a little bit better than it is on the base PS5, even before the update arrived. But now the update has arrived, and is it even better still, or is there one or two things which actually make it slightly worse? So that's what we're going to look at today. First of all, we're going to look at this prioritize ray tracing resolution option, because there's certainly no ray tracing reflections going on in the game, and I'll show that when we start a game. And secondly, we have this interesting VR positional reprojection settings for PS5 Pro, which again seems to be better with it turned off. But let's check these things out. So one thing that's interesting as well is PSSR is disabled on the PS5 Pro when you play VR mode. We'll show that, because when you put this on, you'll notice that that option will disappear. Well, so as we can see, PSSR has been automatically disabled by doing this. And if we go up to this VR positional reprojection thing, it says select whether to enable or disable the VR positional reprojection function for PS5 Pro. While enabling this function will result in more immersive experience, it may also cause unwanted visual effects. So let's see what they mean by that. We'll start with it off, because this is what I'm kind of used to, and we'll leave this prioritize ray tracing resolution on. So I played this earlier and I could see no ray tracing effects, but maybe the resolution was enhanced. So let's go to somewhere where we can pick a car, and we'll see a nice amount of ray tracing reflections if there are any. Right, so let us do this. Do the same race every time, the same conditions. We'll look to try and put alongside that silver car just ahead. I want to see if we've got any obvious ray tracing reflections going on, which I'd be very surprised if there was, because VR mode takes a chunk of power. Anyway, a bit late on the brakes there. Right, let's catch up to this Lambo just ahead of this black car here. Oh, that's not a Lambo, it's a Bugatti. Nope, not a reflection in sight. Nope, not a chance. Right, so that was expected. So maybe we're getting a slightly higher resolution in this mode. But it feels good to play still, no hint of motion sickness, and this is with that rear projection thing turned off. Reprojection? Going back to old style big TVs, rear projection. Remember having one? I was shocked a bit with it at the time. Yeah, absolutely no reflections going on there. We'd easily see the red of this Ferrari. But it feels great to play. It does feel really good to play, having no thoughts about motion sickness whatsoever in any way, shape or form. And it looks visually nice and sharp. Very happy with it. This is kind of what I experienced before the update arrived. So let's now take a look at those other options. Right, let's jump out of that. If I can press the right button. There we go. Right. So I'll describe to you what I'm seeing, because obviously you can't see it on the screen in exactly the same way as I see it. I'll leave this ray tracing and resolution option turned on, so we're not changing more than one option at the same time. Because if you change more than one option, you don't really know what is affecting something, if there is a difference. So I'll just turn on this VR positional reprojection settings. Sounds exciting. Let's see what it does. Same thing, same car. No, don't move the headset, leave it exactly where it is. Because you can get like a slight sharpness adjustment when you fiddle around with the headset a bit. Right, let's see if we notice a difference. That was nice and sharp to play before, it was good, it felt smooth. I don't know what it's doing, but it's doing something. I'm not sure it's something I entirely like. I don't feel as comfortable playing this mode. Sort of went wrong then because I was kind of concentrating on thinking about how I was feeling. To me, the graphics aren't quite as sharp as what they were before. Almost like whatever this is doing, it's softening the graphics ever so slightly. But it feels like it is. Oops, I spun out there. Actually, technically, I don't think it was my fault. But yeah, that felt horrible to crash then. Felt like I could get motion sickness in this mode. I was trying to think how I was trying to describe what I'm feeling, because it's really weird. It wasn't out and out motion sickness. It's almost like there's some sort of weird over smoothing effect going on when you turn corners, because it feels slightly smoother when you turn a corner. But it feels like the graphics are slightly softer at the same time, and yeah, there's something going on with it which feels a bit off to me. I'm not sure I could play this mode all the time without being aware I could get motion sickness if I had a crash. And when you play VR, what you want to do is get immersed completely without any thought of motion sickness whatsoever. It's as if you're just playing the game completely normally. You don't need to be thinking about the possibility of motion sickness. And this reprojection thing, whatever it isn't giving me those thoughts again of thinking. I'm more concentrating on thinking about not crashing because I don't want to feel motion sick than just playing a game. And it feels a bit weird when going around corners. There's something. Yeah, I don't really like this. I'm not saying it's terrible. Some people may play this and think it's completely fine and think, what are you talking about? It's a little bit smoother than it was before. Yes, the graphics are slightly softer, well, out to me anyway. I ain't gonna jump out of that. So I definitely preferred that with that turned off, basically. Right, so didn't like that. Did not like that at all. I'll turn that back off, thank you. So the other option was to change that to prioritise a frame rate, which ordinarily is what I would absolutely suggest in VR mode. The higher the frame rate, the less likely you are, I think, to suffer from motion sickness. And there was certainly no ray traced reflections going on. I'm not sure if there was any other type of ray tracing going on, but I would be surprised if there was, because VR mode is resource hungry enough as it is. Right, so this is with that reprojection thing turned off, but prioritised frame rate turned on. Let's see if it feels back to normal again, for want of a better way of putting it. But it certainly looks a little bit sharper again, even though that mode before favoured resolution and or ray tracing. But I'm not sure the ray tracing actually applies to the VR mode, even though it kind of said it there. I think it was maybe just the resolution part of it. Yeah, it's definitely not quite as smooth turning corners as with that reprojection thing turned on, but the graphics are that little bit sharper, that little bit cleaner. Whoops, and I'm not feeling any motion sick hintness, if you know what I mean, when you have a bit of a shunt or an accident, or you turn a corner quick. So spun there, had a crash, fine, but I feel completely normal still. Interesting. So it still feels better for me in this mode with that reprojection thing turned off. Wouldn't mind knowing a bit more exactly what that does. Because I love VR mode, it's so spectacular to play. It's just, the tracks feel so much better. You see the hills and the dips so much more accurately. You can hit the corners that much more. It's brilliant being able to see all the interiors of all the different cars. Definitely still no reflections, obviously, because we did turn it off, but they weren't there anyway. Sounds nice, that car. But yeah, in this mode with that reprojection thing turned off, I don't actually think about motion sickness, which is exactly how you want to play VR. You don't want to play it kind of feeling like you're holding back or hindering yourself, or thinking, oh my god, am I about to feel motion sick any moment? And for me, that reprojection mode thing kind of did induce that slightly. And it takes a lot for me to actually get motion sickness normally now when playing this. And those slightly softer graphics in that other mode was something I did notice straight away as well. This is kind of how I got used to seeing it now. And it's never going to be as crisp as the actual game as when you play it on a normal TV, because the game world you're looking at here is ginormous compared to that, because you're seeing the whole thing as you look around it in the real world. But it's still good enough, and you still want to play it, like I said, without any feeling of motion sickness coming along. So for me, this is the way I'm going to be playing it. May just switch back to it one more time, just to try it out one more time, just to be sure that I wasn't kind of imagining it or sort of being aware of something being different, if you know what I mean. And therefore that may make you kind of prone to it. So I've still got prioritise frame rate, effectively performance mode. And now let's turn that on while in prioritise frame rate, see if that makes any difference. Right, same deal as before. Right, so reprojection thing turned off. In my mind, I know it's turned on, but in my mind I've turned it off. Don't want any sneaky psychological things coming along and skewing the thought process. Nah, it's doing something weird. It feels weird turning corners, I don't like it. It's kind of strange, and I do notice them slightly softer graphics all the time. It's almost like there's a very slight mist descending upon the game world all of a sudden. Only very slight indeed, but I can notice it. And it feels weird turning corners. Nah, not a fan of that. Right, I'm just going to park it up on the side there and come to a little bit of a conclusion about that, because whatever that reprojection thing is doing, I'm not a fan of it myself. It definitely gave a softer image overall to me, and it did give a smoother kind of feeling overall, but it almost felt like falsely over smoothed, and it made me feel uncomfortable playing the game. It made me feel like it could induce motion sickness, which is exactly what I don't want when playing VR. So for me, the option is better spent turned off. Whether there's a difference between the ray tracing and higher definition graphics and the prioritized frame rate, didn't see much difference there. Didn't feel particularly any different to me between both those modes, but I haven't tested it to a massive degree either. But all I know is that reprojection thing is something which I believe turned off, because it did make me feel like a little bit uncomfortable playing the game. And I've got to the point where I can play this completely normally, without ever feeling any kind of motion sickness. So some people may prefer it. Some people may look at the graphics and think, okay, maybe it's ever so slightly softer, but that smoothness is making it a better experience for me. But if you don't suffer from any motion sickness when playing that may be the better mode to pick. But for me, it made me feel like I could get ever so slightly icky. So for me, I will leave it turned off. But there's a video. If you enjoyed it, I found it useful and helpful, it'd be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button. It really does help. But most of all, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.